We are located right now in the Banyas Reserve, down at the base of Mount Hermon, where one of the major springs that feeds the Jordan River comes out of the mountain.
So we're going to go up there.
So let's go up and take a look at this Temple of Pan with the group and hear from Yair as he explains some of the things that we're seeing.
Druze shrine, a Druze, let's call it temple. They call it Chilwe. Now, probably because the holiness of this place, if it's holy for one, it's holy for another. So we are on the Acropolis. When we say Acropolis, what do we mean when we say Acropolis? We mean the highest point. The shrines used to be on the highest point, dominating, etc., etc. So please look at the wall over there, the rock. Can you see those indentations? Yeah. Below them, there is an inscription in Greek. In Pan, half man, half goat, playing the flute. Papandreou. Okay, Lord of the Shepherds. So this was a shrine basically to the Lord of the Shepherds. There's a few other temples, remains of other temples here. Here, right here behind me, it's called the grotto for the Lord Pan. Imagine the rock in the center of or in the bottom there, in the center of the cave, was like an altar. Okay, start of a sacrificial and so on. Pagan as it can be. The gates of faith will not prevail. This is probably the context and the reference.
So what is Yair referring to here? After Jesus said to Peter, "I will build my church," he followed up by saying, "And the gates of hell will not prevail against it." Those words were spoken very close to this spot. And this Pan Grotto, with its altar inside where they may have sacrificed and done unspeakable things, and the look of this place brings to mind that passage. Now, Pan was the god of the Romans, but well before that, this site had been used for other pagan purposes. For instance, the Canaanites had their gods here, even before Israel conquered the land. And then it was the tribe of Dan, situated down close to what is now Tel Aviv, that got antsy and wanted more land for themselves. They went up and conquered a city called Lachish and named it Dan. That city, Dan, is very close to this spot. And Dan became, if you may remember, one of the two cities that Jeroboam carved out on the northern kingdom to say, this is a place that you can go to worship. Go to Dan or go to Bethel. Dan would be at the northern extremity of the northern kingdom, and Bethel was down at the southern extremity of the northern kingdom. So this location has been a site for pagan worship and for things that stand in the path of God, that stand against God. It has been that way for a very long time. So I find it incredibly poetic that Yeshua would go to this site and choose to use this location to reveal his true identity to the disciples. So he redeemed the location by his proclamation. So what our group did, and we're not showing it in this, but just after these shots were taken, we began to celebrate Passover, the Passover night Seder, here at the place where Yeshua declared his identity. So I hope you've enjoyed these segments on the Golan. We started by looking over the lake, the Sea of Galilee. We went up onto the Golan Heights. We visited a synagogue. We visited the plains. We looked at the story of the Six-Day War. We went up to the Syrian ghost town. We went to the top of Mount Bental. We looked to the east to Syria. We looked to the west down to the kibbutz. We went through the Druze villages. We came down here to the base of Mount Hermon. So I want to thank you for staying with us during this series. It's been a pleasure to reveal some of the most interesting things that I've learned along the way And I really appreciate our friends at Ami Travel and Christine Darg and her Passover Convocation. So happy to be part of it. Thank you. And until next time, Shalom.